Hey guys, what's up and welcome back to Toe Tags Metal Reviews, and today we're giving you guys our first impressions of the new albums from Volbeat and Catatonia. So to kick it off here with God of Angels Trust by Volbeat, this is our first time covering an album from Volbeat on the channel, I believe, which is pretty cool, and we reacted to two singles, By a Monster's Hand and Time Will Heal. By a Monster's Hand was sick, Time Will Heal felt good, like the logical mid-album break, which it is, effective. The one single that we did not react to was In the Barn of the Goat Giving Birth to Satan's Spawn in the Dying World of Doom. Mouthful, certainly that song is, but that's a sick song. Like, I'll say that. I would have really enjoyed it. Like, if we reacted to that, I probably would be like, wow, that's a really good song. That one kind of sounds a bit more like what at least I or maybe others would naturally expect this band to sound like, which is like kind of like a metally rockabilly kind of thing. And you do that a lot in the vocal performance.
Yep.
And the groove there that drops is awesome. Like, it's a similar vibe to me. I don't know if you thought this is like 2x4 by Metallica.
Yeah.
Like there were moments where I'm like, yeah, this has kind of got like that twangy nature that Load has, which is really, really cool.
Yeah,
but
it's a swing to it.
Yeah, but it's a lot. It's like if, sounds weird, if today's Metallica, if you put Load and 72 Seasons together, you get this album. And that's sick. I liked it quite a bit. I feel like when we talk about albums that are awesome groove and riff-wise, albums like this are what we talk about. I feel like everything has a bite to it, and it's infectious, but they also have these really sweet melodies in it as well, especially with this vocal performance, which is a lot more of a unique sounding voice, especially for metal, which is super cool. I don't know if you thought this, but Devils Are Awake, cool grooves, kind of feels like a song Mastodon could make. Like if you listen to the way the melodies go and the way that structure is, I could see Mastodon writing this song. And I think that's pretty neat. So, the Time Will Heal is kind of the logical break in the middle. I think this album is paced really well. I think listening to it, I'm thinking like, wow, they give you some super blaster groove barn burners, and then they'll pull it back at the proper times to give you a break, and then they go hard again. And it's super fun. Like the whole album, I'm just enjoying it. Like, I was looking forward to it already based on the singles, but putting it on, I'm like, man, it's just groove after groove, riff after riff. I think everyone sounded really good. Like overall, I liked it quite a bit.
Yeah, I agree. I had a good time listening to this album, and just kind of piggybacking off what TV Fish said about the song pacing being good or whatever, however you phrase it. We talk a lot about album contour, and that might mean different things to different people, but I feel like in this case this is a good example because you have the opening tracks, which are both really good riff heavy, kind of energetic songs, and then track number 3, Acid Rain, that's where to me it kind of took a little bit of a breather, but then it comes right back in with Demonic Depression. Then you got In the Barn of the Goat Giving Birth to Satan's Spawn in a Dying World of Doom, which has a completely different feel. It's way more rockabilly, it has the swing vibe to it. Then you also dip down again with Time Will Heal. But then it comes right back up again with Better to Be Fueled Than Tamed. And it's just kind of giving you this roller coaster, which is really good track placement in my opinion. This album has a lot of riffs that just make you go, fuck yes. And if the volume up could go up even louder, it would be up even louder. But these songs just sound better loud, and it's hitting all the right marks on the riffs side of things. And yeah, the vocals are very unique, and we praised the vocals on this band before. It's the thing that sets this band apart the most, I think, is the vocal style, and it's on point. It's on point through the record. Really, really liked it. This band, and this might sound like a weird comparison, this band reminds me a bit of Bloody Hammers in the sense that
I see.
Bloody Hammers is like a lot of times not quite metal, but they're heavy enough, and there's something about it that kind of puts them in that category. I feel like Volbeat's a lot like that, where some of it you're listening to, it's like, is this metal really? But it's like, it's so hard hitting, and a lot of these riffs sound like they were written by Kirk Hammett. Like,
Volbeat, like this band in particular, a lot of their stuff is very thrashy sounding, especially on this record. Like, you know, you can see it that way, but at the same time, you listen, if you just sit down and just listen to it, you're like, half of it is like a thrash album, essentially.
Exactly, yeah, and it's like that mixed with other stuff, and it's just, it's well written, it's well performed, and there's a lot of juicy sounding stuff on here. I'll just say that. I'm not gonna go into different details of songs, but I definitely enjoyed my first listen.
Yeah. So moving on to Nightmares as Extensions of the Wakened State by Catatonia. It's our second time covering an album of theirs. We reviewed Skyvoid of Stars in 2023. I gave it a toe tag. Vile was unable to rate it because it wasn't, like, if I recall correctly, you couldn't kind of form your thoughts accurately based on how you were feeling.
It just felt like I was gonna give it a shitty score and it was unfair to do so. Because I don't know if it was a mood thing that week or something. It just didn't feel right to give it a bad score, so I didn't score it. However it was, whatever.
Have you listened to it at all since then?
I do not believe I have. I think I kind of put that on the wayside and left it there.
Fair enough. Well, we got the new one here.
I don't hate this band, by the way. I just had a bad experience with that album. So yeah, go ahead. Going into this.
Yeah, small thing I also want to mention, that last album had gorgeous artwork. I'll just say that. So I remember really liking the atmosphere of the last record. And I feel like that is still present here. However, the biggest issue I found is that it was a repetitive album. I felt like not only did it kind of just go in circles, that if you hear the first few tracks on this record, you basically hear the whole thing, but on top of that, it just feels bland. You know, it's like, okay, this is chill, this is atmospheric, that's cool. If I wanted that and have it like still have songs that spark, there's plenty of other albums. Their last album I could put on and enjoy better for that kind of thing.
Yeah.
You know, or because you'd think like, oh, well, not every song's supposed to be this super standout thing. It's this chill atmospheric album. It's like, yeah, there's tons of those albums that still have individual tracks that stand out. Damnation by Opeth is a perfect example of that. It feels like eight or so individual tracks, as opposed to like the same track a bunch of times. And that's kind of the impression I got here. The first few songs were more interesting. I mean, with the way this album starts, it confused me because they hit this shot and then it just like 180s to this soft verse. I'm like, what happened? Did I walk in like at the end of a section or something?
I mean, I feel like that with a lot of prog music, to be honest.
Well, to be fair, it's like the way this album starts is like literally the end of a section.
Yeah.
Out, like just like mid-sentence almost. You know what I mean?
I wonder if it's a continuation of something else, maybe.
That would be really cool and interesting if it was.
Yeah, but
maybe it's a continuation from the last album. It's been a while since I listened to that.
Maybe.
That would be cool if it was. But either way, it's just kind of diminishing returns as it went. Like a song like Wind and No Change kind of starts out with like this drum groove and the bass, like, you know, Deftone style, which I thought was cool. But as it went, I found less and less notes to write, less and less to really say, because it's like I've already heard it earlier on the record. I kind of feel like they just kind of lost it with this one. It didn't really feel like it went anywhere. So for me, it was a step down from the last record. I feel like the last record was more inspired, more interesting, had a little bit more soul to it. And I know there's people who felt the way I feel now about that last record too. So unfortunately, this one was a miss for me.
Yeah, despite my feelings about the last album, I put this album on with an open mind. And when it started, I was like, okay, this is not bad. I'm kind of digging what is being presented here. But much similar to you, after the first 2 or 3 songs, it really started to fade quite fast, and it never really picked back up again. There's a few little things here and there that I kind of was like, oh, this is cool, that's cool. Mostly like instrumental sections I thought were pretty interesting. Not songs, but like just sections of songs where there's kind of riding a groove or just whatever, right? Mm-hmm. I thought those were pretty cool. There's also a few sections I noticed where the vocals and the guitars, I guess, were kind of very soft and mellow, but the drums were kind of like pounding on the toms. And I was like, that's a kind of a cool yin-yang kind of thing that got going on there. And, you know, those kind of moments kind of stood out to me a little bit, but it's just not the kind of album that is really good for attention grabbing. And like you said, it might be a good album for putting on just to kind of have in the background. But there's also other albums that might be better for that anyway. So when is anybody ever going to pick this one? Exactly. That's kind of the problem. So I feel like this might be one of those albums where you do need to listen to it a few times perhaps to kind of notice the nuances that are in there. But on a first listen, it didn't do much for me at all. It didn't impress me at all. And you know, I go into every album I listen to wanting to like it. I never go in going, I didn't like the last one, so I probably won't like this one. I never have that attitude. It's always positive, you know, eager to like it, and eager, like I want to write good notes because I want to tell you guys it was awesome. That's the goal. But if I don't have good notes and I didn't think it was awesome, I got to be honest, right? And we both are like that. So unfortunately, this album just didn't do it for me. One positive thing I will look forward to is towards the end of the year when we do our re-listens, sometimes an album that missed the boat on the first impressions hits the mark later in the year. So there's always a chance that'll happen. I'm not counting on it, but the chance is there. And it's unfortunate that I'm kind of 0 for 2 on Catatonia albums on this channel. So yeah, wasn't feeling it.
Anyway, we decided we are going to review God of Angels Trust by Volbeat. So we will be back in a week to give you guys our full and final review of that album after listening nonstop for an entire week. And that's all we got for you guys today. Remember to like this video if you like it. Tell us what you think in the comments below of all, you know, these 2 albums that we talked about in this video. Anything else that's dropped today, we'd love to hear what you guys have to say. And subscribe if you guys are new. I'm TV Fish.
I'm by myself.
See you guys later.